Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. Can't believe we're on episode 99. Wow, I love the numbers and just crazy that we've done 99 episodes. Again, I always start by saying thank you. I feel very, very blessed with this podcast. Just the comments we receive on a weekly basis, the DMs, the feedback, to know that it's reaching so many people. I feel very, very blessed with it. And we have something special coming up for the 100th episode, which is going to be next week. Some special announcements to it, or also we've invited some special guests to share some of their feedback on the podcast. So yeah, I'm excited for the 100th episode, and I want to be able to get here without my good buddy and introducing the amazing, the stunning, the healer extraordinaire, and published author Stacey Brown. Stacey, over to you.
Oh, buddy,
You
it's
don't
good to
have
be.
to do it. You know, it's got to be done, right?
Yeah,
When you believe you're on 99, how crazy is that?
it's pretty freaking amazing. And it's hard to believe I started in with you at episode 17. And we have consistently been releasing an episode every week. So, hi, friends. I'm Stacey. I'm an intuitive. I do readings, coaching, and mentorship for people from around the world. I also recently published my first book, Journey to Soul Center Discovering the Gift of Surrender. I'm very excited about this episode and looking forward to seeing where we go on this journey today.
I love it. I love it. Hi, everybody. I'm Nims. I'm also an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. And I just love this space that we're in where I really feel that we're being pushed to kind of become our true selves, be authentic with who we are, and shine the light in the way we're meant to shine a light. And I love guiding people to that because I really believe everything we need is inside us. And I get the blessing and the opportunity to guide people on their journey. So loving the energy. It feels like we are in a new phase. So but yeah, episode 99. And we picked the topic this week on spiritual growth and transformation. It kind of felt like the right topic for 99 just because it kind of summarizes everything we're trying to do, right? I really do feel like we are all going through some sort of transformation and we're always growing spiritually, right? We're a soul having a human journey, and that is our spiritual journey. That is our transformation. And if you just take a moment and think about what you've been through this year, again talking to listeners, I really believe all of us have gone through some sort of transformation. And in many ways, it was the universe pushing us and asking us to transform, to become a new version of ourselves. And maybe we're all still going through it, right? Whatever that looks like. But that, if I was to summarize what does spiritual growth mean to me, it is the evolution of self. It is truly connecting with our guides in a different sort of way and embracing our spirituality. I mean, we've had episodes where we talked about the difference between religion and spirituality, and our podcast, it's called Spiritual Journey, Path to Awakening, right? So it really is about our spiritual journey and the transformation that we go through. And I just love it. I really, it's never easy. It's not meant to be easy, right? Because our soul has chosen a challenging path to expand into, to grow into whatever we're meant to do. Um, but maybe it's not as complicated as everybody makes it. I was talking to a friend earlier today about, the spiritual journey, the human journey is tough, but do we complicate it? Every week, me and you, Stace, talk about different topics, but a lot of the time it does come down to some things that are kind of consistent. And that includes like having a self-care routine. And that includes putting ourselves first, because when you put ourselves first, our light becomes so much brighter. It includes things like gratitude, right? In journaling. I really believe there's a consistent base that or most of our episodes include, and maybe the spiritual journey is difficult, but maybe it's not complicated. And that, I guess, that'd be the way I'd start. And transformation, I really believe that we go through multiple transformations in our life, and it's kind of like a rebirth where, our life goes in blocks, and we go through a rebirth where we do shed a lot of our old self. We go through something, maybe something major, that pushes us to transform. And like I said, I really do believe a lot of us have transformed this year, and maybe we're still transforming. So, Stace, I love this topic, and I guess I just, before I hand over to Stace, just say, if you do feel like you're going through some sort of transformation, you really do feel like you're connected to your spiritual self, your guides, you're going through some sort of spiritual growth, then reach out to us. We have a beautiful mentorship program which we channeled through the Akashic Records, which is changing lives. It really does help you to understand your programming, connect you to your gifts, really help you to understand what your purpose is, and help you to understand what you're going through. And with that awareness, you can start to do things differently. So if our voice resonates, if you want to work with us, then book a free discovery call. You can go to any of our websites. The links are in the show notes, and you can book a free discovery call, 30 minutes. We can take you through our mentorship program, and we can talk about if it's for you. And for me, whoever we work with, it's a soul contract. It's a heart-led decision rather than a head-led decision, in terms of people that come to us resonate at a soul level. So if this podcast, if the words that we use resonate with you, then do book a free discovery call. So Stace, what does spiritual growth and transformation mean to you?
Well, I always come from the personal approach of like what I have been through, because that's all I know. And for me, um, for those who don't know, I grew up in the Mormon faith, and it was a very devoutly religious home. And for me, growing up, I didn't differentiate religion and spirituality. I just knew there was a regimented way of being and a way that I was expected to connect with God. And I followed that programming for a very long time. I left the Mormon church at the age of 22. And it's interesting because my world was blown apart at 22. My father very abruptly and very publicly left my mother, which I don't talk about very often, but he left her after 28 years of marriage. And he was the most religious man that I knew. I would say spiritual probably would have been the word that I would have used, but now hindsight, it was religious. And when he left my mother, he walked away from the religion. And it was very shocking to me, because everything that I knew that I thought was spirituality and religion was like turned up on its axis. And I pulled away from the Mormon church, and I pulled away from God at the same time. And quite frankly, I was angry for about a decade. And for me, I could not have gotten to the place where I am right now without the people who were like divinely placed in my life at the time that I needed them. And one of those people was a pastor's wife, and she mentored me for a period of time and helped me understand the difference between like religion and relationship. And I started to like develop a connection again with my higher power, who I call God. And it really broke me wide open to understanding that there's a big difference between spiritual ways of being and religion. um, if it weren't for the mentors and guides who came into my life, I know I wouldn't be where I am today. And for me, the spiritual growth came from releasing the way that I was taught things were supposed to be and replacing it with what felt right for me, what felt good, what felt connective. Um, and over that decade of not, really being in communication with God and really being quite pissed at him, I came into a place of forming a deeper spiritual connection, not only with my higher power, but with myself. And it was multifaceted because I also had to learn to love myself. Right. And so the spiritual growth and transformation happened in several different ways. There's so many things that we talk about in our mentorship program. And one of them is we talk about how we are made up of four bodies: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I believe that in order to be in a healthy, connected space, you have to achieve alignment in all four bodies. You have to address all four bodies and you have to nurture all four bodies. And so my spiritual growth and transformation happened by addressing all four of those areas and really dialing in on what I was doing to connect and what I was doing to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit. And I believe with everything in me that it is impossible to be in a connective spiritual space if you don't address the other areas: the mental, the emotional, and the physical. So I went through this really significant time in my life where I started dialing in on my daily habits. What was I doing each day? Who were the people that I was surrounding myself with? How was I trying to connect spiritually? And as I addressed all of those things, I formed a deeper connection with myself, with my higher power. And it led me into a season that I couldn't have even seen coming. Like if somebody had told me, 10 years ago that I would be guiding and mentoring people, I probably would have laughed because I was so lost myself. But I have I have really dialed in on what it takes day to day to make me healthy and make me feel good and connected. And in forming those daily habits, it has changed the way that I show up in the world. And it's changed everything about my environment, my surroundings, the people I'm connected to. And so the work hasn't been easy. I want to say that it hasn't been easy, but it has been so worth it because I know now how to nurture that connection and I know how to help other people nurture that connection. And it's powerful.
Love it, love it. And there's so much to what you just said, right? There's if we start with the four bodies, and we do, as you said, we do a lot about the four bodies in the mentorship program. But yeah, you said physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And it's important to kind of look into your four bodies and ask yourself, where are you in? So one of the things we do on a weekly basis with our clients is really ask them 0 to 10, where are you in each of your four bodies? And the idea is never that you're going to be a 10 in all your four your bodies, because you're meant to go through ups and downs. But when you check in with yourself, it gives you an insight and an awareness into where you are. So that's always a good thing to do. And maybe that's a good thing for our listeners to do right now. Where are you physically? 0 to 10, 0 being nothing at all, 10 being really high. How do you feel in your physical body? Where do you feel mentally? Where do you feel emotionally? And mentally is all about the mind. Emotion is all about how much love you feel, how connected you are to yourself, to the people around you. And spiritual, I like to define as what's your connection to your guides like? What's the connection to God, to source, however you look at it. It's always a good thing to do because it just gives you insight into what's happening. And, when I think about the spiritual journey, when I think about, transformation, and for me, it always starts with awareness. And really, again, our mentorship program really does at the beginning focus on becoming aware, because if you're not aware of what's happening inside you, around you, then you can't do anything about it. But actually, awareness should come with a warning, because once you open that, Pandora's box, once you become aware of what's happening inside you, it can be frustrating in the way that when you do something that potentially you think isn't great, you're aware of it. So awareness on its own isn't the answer, but it helps, right? So understanding, we take you through it, understanding your programming, what drives you on a day-to-day basis. How are you showing up for you? And are you showing up for you, or are you showing up based on your programming? And once we kind of once we kind of take away the layers, so you truly understand who you are at the core, and you're aware, then what do you do with that awareness? Next step is always acceptance, because it's like, you become aware, and the first thing everyone does is, oh my God, I can't believe I've been doing this for so many years, or I've been doing this, and you start to judge yourself. And we are where we are, right? And it's that you've been through everything to become this version of you. You're listening to this podcast because of everything you've been through, and in some way, you are going through a spiritual work, a spiritual journey, spiritual awakening, and you're going through your transforming. So now you're in that awareness. You have to accept who you are, and you have to accept who you are in this version of you, because all of us are focusing on something. It's that I'll be happy when, or I'm going to be focused on doing this, or I'm looking for a program to. And it's like, if you're looking for the answers outside, then you're looking in the wrong place. So you have to, again, we go through this, you have to accept and fall in love with you. That doesn't mean you're not working on things to change and improving, or whatever you want to call it. But it's like you have to build that base of loving you first, and then you can start to focus on what you. So that awareness that we talk about gives you insight into who you are. Accepting who you are is like gives you a base, and it allows you to be present, to truly accept who you are in this moment. And then from there, and you've also got to love yourself, right? It's like falling in love with this new version of you, transformed. And then what are you going to do next? That's when, it's like from that awareness and acceptance and love, you start to get a peace inside you. And from there, you can start to decide what you want to do next. Again, Stacey said, it's not always easy, right? I mean, transformation and this human experience, we've chosen to expand. And that's the other thing to bear in mind, is that whatever you're going through, in some way your soul chose, because when you came into this human existence, your soul had kind of already decided what growth you were meant to experience in this life. That's where your soul contracts come from. That's where your connections, that's where your kind of your experience in this lifetime, and the people that you meet. And in many ways, we talked about dark night of soul a few weeks ago. When you experience the dark night of soul, when you transform, that is part of your soul journey. It's part of your human journey. So in many ways, your soul picked. So when you're going through so much change, sometimes it's a good thing to slow down and just have a conversation with your soul and really understand, well, hold on, why did I choose this life? Why did I choose to go through what I'm going through? And that's a really tough question when you're especially when you're transforming and you're going through so much pain, so much change, to then stop and say, well, hold on, at some level I chose this. That's sometimes a difficult question, right? And Stace, I've seen you transform many times since I've known you in the past, couple of years. And I know that we've had this conversation many times about, did you really choose this? Did your soul choose this journey? You've transformed so much, and you've been through so much. You've been through more in this past couple of years than most humans do in many years. So I'm curious for you, when I ask you that question, do you feel in some way like your soul chose this journey? Do you feel like the universe is for you?
Um, I believe that we accept the mission that is this lifetime. Like we, in my mind, we have this like conversation with God, and he's like, okay, you've been assigned this. Are you ready? And we all said, okay, right? And I believe where we get distracted or we get confused is that we think that we are in control, and we have an idea of what we think is going to happen or what we expect to happen and what we think is supposed to happen. And then when it doesn't happen that way, we get upset. But the thing is, like, where's the contract saying that you were gonna, be married and have the white picket fence, and that, like it doesn't, you can have the dream of what you desire, but ultimately there was an agreement, right? And I mean, if I'm being like really transparent, there are days where I'm a little pissed about it. I mean, I'm 47 years old and I'm single parenting again, and I'm navigating this really uncomfortable season that looks nothing like what I thought my life would look like right now. I expected to be in a longer term committed marriage and be raising my children with my partner. And as my children were getting older, my partner and I would be spending more time together and seeing different places and going and having different adventures. I expected to be a hairdresser for the rest of my life. I really did. I mean, I loved my career in hairdressing. I thought that was for the long haul. And that's not what was in the cards for me. And in certain ways, it's more beautiful and exciting than what I could ever have anticipated. And in some ways, it's more uncomfortable and frustrating than I ever could have anticipated. But when I reflect on the journey of the last couple of years specifically, I could never have imagined that I would get to do some of the things that I've done and some gone to some of the places that I've gone. I would never have fathomed that that would be my life. And so in certain ways, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, it's awkward, it's surprising, and in other ways it's beautiful and transformative and um liberating, because I'm not in a box. I've chosen not to live in a box. I've chosen to move forward and accept what my circumstances are, and embrace them, and embrace the uncertainty. And there are days where it's easier than others, for sure. For anybody who's on the journey right now, I see you. Okay, I know that it's hard. But I think the other thing is I haven't done it alone. Like I think sometimes when we're going through spiritual transformation, it can feel very isolating. But I also feel like my higher power has divinely placed people in my life to assist me on the journey, right? Whether it's, the connections that I have with my clients, or the people who pour wisdom into me, right? There have just been so many like unbelievably beautiful parts to this that it's so worth it. And I know that I've told this story before, but I feel prompted to just share this again. And friends, this was like a powerful moment for me. And I'm telling you about this because maybe it's time for your powerful moment. And maybe you want to like take a page from my book, literally and figuratively. Um, I was doing it was a mentorship program, but it was through a church. So they called it a discipleship program. And in the 6 weeks of the program, I agreed to not listen to secular music and not watch TV and all this kind of stuff. And so I was in the car running errands. And normally I would be listening to music. But on this day, I was listening to a podcast, and it was a sermon. And the pastor was talking about like what it is to be a superhero, and how we imagine superheroes as having these powers beyond what humans can do, right? They can scale walls, and they can fly, and they can lift a car. And he said, but what a superhero actually is somebody who gives up the idea of what their life should look like for whatever God, their higher power, has in store for them. And I was like pulling into the parking lot at the grocery store, and the pastor asked, his congregation, like, who wants to be a superhero? Raise your hand. And I raised my hand in the car, and he was like, okay, so if you want to be a superhero, put your hands out, palms facing up, and say the words, I surrender, God, use me. And friends, Like, I've told you this story before, and I'm telling you again because that moment where I surrendered in that grocery store parking lot changed the entire trajectory of my life. Like, I wholeheartedly let go of what I thought my life was going to look like, what I anticipated it looking like, what I wanted it to look like, what I dreamed it would look like. I gave up all of that in that moment for whatever God had in store for me. And I mean, it was a full on surrender, divine moment, powerful moment. And only a couple months later, my son plummeted into the darkest times and nearly lost his life. And I believe that my higher power was preparing me on a spiritual level for what was next, and that I needed to lean into the experience. It nearly killed me. I mean, watching my son fight for his life, me trying to save him, all of that. You sit there and go, Stacey, like, what do you mean? Like, you surrendered and God laid this out for you. But the thing is, friends, had I not gone through that dark time with my son, I would not be sitting here on this podcast right now, because it was through a series of deeply, deeply painful and horrifying experiences that I came to a deeper understanding of who I am and why I'm here. And it allowed me the gift of finding my voice and using it to impact others. And so I don't know where you are today, my friend, as you're listening to this podcast episode, but I encourage you, if you are ready to embark on a journey that only your higher power can take you on, I encourage you to find a moment where you can surrender and let go of the idea of the supposed to, whatever your supposed to is, and embrace whatever your higher power has in store for you. It has been a profound exercise in faith and patience and resilience that has led me to a space of the most expansive growth and has led me on a path that I never could have expected. I I can't I can't dismiss the dark times, because the dark times somehow were leading me towards the light, you know? And had I not gone through those dark times, I don't think that I would have the spiritual awareness that I have now.
Yeah, wise words, super powerful words, and it is interesting, right? In terms of our programming, our expectations. You know, I was expected to follow the traditional route, get married, have kids, kind of the picket fence life or whatever, have a successful career, change the world as, a bit at a time, all the rest of it. And I remember having a conversation with God, myself, a few years ago, saying, well, hold on a second, am I not meant to be happy? Am I not meant to, get married and have kids like everybody else? Am I not? And I was angry, right? I was angry because I had expectations, right? I wanted, I wanted to be a dad. I wanted, kind of to be married and experience what everyone else is experiencing. And I remember having a conversation with my soul and kind of getting the experience that and the reminder of what I've been through, the magic of what I've been through to make me the healer I am today, to accept the healer I am today, to accept the life I have today. If potentially if I'd married with kids, my soul wouldn't have experienced the expansion it needed to in this life. And it is, and maybe it's a good lesson to all our listeners, is to look back at your life and what if you could look at it with two lenses? start with, what are you disappointed at? What were your expectations, and what is your life right now? Are you meeting those expectations? And then maybe look at it from the second lens of, what's the magic that's happened in your life? Who are you today? You are because of what you've experienced. And maybe, if you led that program life, ask yourself, what wouldn't you have experienced? I know that I was meant to experience a massive expansion at a soul level in this life. I was meant to activate the healer in me. Stacey, you talked about finding the magical people in your life, and when I look back and the mentors that showed up when I needed them, kind of, I've talked before about somebody doing some dark magic on me and me losing my job and getting made redundant. That led to 2 years of darkness, and 2 years nearly lost my home. I was, kind of had no money coming in and didn't know where I was going to go next. But I was randomly introduced to a religious lady who saw something in me. But actually, then the universe showed me a vision of what actually happened to me that allowed me to release it. That was by chance. That wasn't planned. That was the universe showing up, in terms of even the way I met Sidra. I mean, I met Sidra through an ex of mine who went to one of Sidra's courses and said, "You're going to love Sidra. You need to see her." And again, I was led to Sidra, and I know I was meant to meet Sidra. Sidra's, if you don't know, she's my mentor, my guide, my friend, who's no longer in this realm, but she's now one of my spiritual guides. And in many ways, um, she was the spark that started this podcast. And I think, well, hold on, and I know I was meant to meet her, right? I know it was a soul contract, but the circumstances were magical. Even meeting you, Stace, right? It was, our lives are so different. You live in Maryland, right? Which is, I would have no reason to visit, no reason to pass through, or because I live in London, but somehow the universe lined up. We met on Clubhouse, and we've now done over 80 podcasts together, and we've channeled a mentorship program, and I guided you to the Akashic Records, and we changed your lives. And it's just that I really do believe that if you stop and look and really ask yourself, what's the magic that's happened in your life? Maybe you start to change the way that you see things, and maybe you could look at things differently, because I truly believe we're meant to do something that's not been done before. And if you really believe that, and you really can resonate with that, then if you're meant to do something that's never been done before, then you're not meant to lead a program life. You're not meant to follow the norms of what everyone else does, because you're going to do something different. And maybe that gets excited, because I have a conversation with my nephew the other day, and we were talking about our connection. I'm blessed with having 10 nephews and 3 nieces. I haven't got any of my own kids, but actually that's allowed me to guide my nephews and nieces in a different sort of way. I have unique relationships with all of them. I, in many ways, have acted as a mentor to them, in terms of having been able to have a conversation with me that they can't have with their parents. And my nephew was saying, well, he doesn't think that I would have had the same relationship if I'd had my own kids. And that was really insightful, because it's kind of true. And actually, I cherish those relationships, because for me, I'm impacting young lives. I'm making a difference. And I'll always say my purpose is, anyone I connect with is leaving them better than I found them. And I look at my life and the opportunities that the universe gave me, and I have left a lot of people better than I found them. So I could focus on, not having kids, not being married, kind of, or I could focus on the magic in my life and the relationship and the impacting and the changes that I've made to so many lives, the changes I've made to my life. What do you focus on? And Stacey, you inspired that. We don't always plan this. We never planned the episode. We just talk about whatever comes through. And just this conversation has made me realize that, you've got the lens that you look at your life has such a big impact. And you talked about that moment in you guys in the US call it a parking lot, we call it a car park, but we won't get into the US English phrases. But you made a decision to surrender, which led you down a dark path, but actually that has led you to the healer that you are today. you could focus so much on the pain that you went through, but actually you talked about the impact it has. And I think that's so powerful for our listeners to really kind of, what lens are you looking at your life today? If you're going through some challenges, then how are you facing them? How could you face them differently? If you could go back and look at the magic in your life and the person that you are today and be proud of you, what would that look like?
Right. And don't get me wrong, there are days where it sucks.
I agree. There are days where
Like
we
I
both talk about like
yeah.
what were we thinking?
Yeah, like I want to be clear on that. Like I don't like to sugarcoat anything. I mean, what you see is what you get, and I don't want to diminish the challenges because it's not easy. Okay? Today I'm in a space where I recognize that all of this was for my highest good. Today in this moment, I recognize that my son nearly dying shifted my life in a very powerful and profound way, right? I recognize that the decisions that I made after that incident 4.5 years ago have shifted my life in a profound and significant and life altering way. But there are days where can I drop an F bomb? There are days where I'm
Sure,
like,
sure.
what the fuck? Like, there are definitely days like that. There are days where I'm like, I I didn't sign up for this. What is this? I don't know how to get through this, right? I mean, there are absolutely times where I feel like that. And my friend, our listener, it's okay to have days like that. That's normal. That's normal in the process. I'm guessing if you're listening to this episode and it's resonating with you, you've been through some profound shifts in your life. And with those profound shifts comes a whole lot of stuff that you don't understand or you didn't know or you're trying to figure out or what have you. And there are days where it sucks. But with that being said, the bigger picture is I recognize that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now had it not been for every one of the experiences I've been through, both positive and negative, both exciting and upsetting, that all of those things were leading me on a journey to a deeper understanding of who I am and why I'm here. And because of that, I am able to do the work that I do. Had I not been through those experiences, I would not be equipped to help people in the way that I am. I believe that God gave me repeatedly a deep understanding of pain, like a really deep understanding of different types of pain. And it makes me emotional because I know that we have a listener right now who's in pain. I know that someone is listening to this who is just holding on by a thread, feeling like you're never going to catch a break. And why do I have to suffer like this? And I can feel that. And I have been there. I have been in the place of being so brokenhearted that I was sitting on the floor in the dark in my master bedroom closet, sobbing, pleading with God, pleading with God to save my son, pleading with God to stop the pain, pleading with God to give me the strength to go on because I felt like I couldn't do it any longer. And to our listener who's in that space right now, I encourage you to surrender. I encourage you to take a moment in your closet, in your bathroom, in your bedroom, in your car, wherever you are right now. I encourage you to surrender your idea of what you thought your life was going to look like for whatever your higher power has in store. I encourage you to take some time out for deep introspection, whether this is through prayer, whether this is through meditation, whether this is through journaling. I encourage you to take some time from this chaotic life that you're living and really allow yourself a connection and maybe some clarity into your life and why you're going through what you're going through or what your higher power has in store for you. I have had some of the most painful experiences that I'll probably ever experience in the last several years. But I've also got some of the most beautiful memories and experiences mixed in with all of that. And I believe that the greatest work that I've done thus far has been embarking on a deeper spiritual journey and understanding more about who I am and why I'm here. And I feel so blessed in this season that now that I've done this work and I've been through these lessons, I'm able to now take that wisdom and impart it to other people. And I wouldn't even be sitting here on this podcast right now had I not done the work. But it's 100% been worth it, especially because now I'm taking those lessons and I'm helping other people with them. And that is what I believe we're here for. I believe we are here to form a deeper connection with ourselves and with our higher power, to cultivate self love. And once we've done that, we then can impart that wisdom and that love to other people. And it has a beautiful ripple effect. So, for all of those painful experiences, I'm grateful because I know that they've brought me to this place. And I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do without all of the experiences collectively.
I love it. Again, such powerful words. I love your vulnerability. And I guess that's a really good lesson for all of our listeners. And I really do believe that those that have had a painful life, kind of perceptively, whatever you've been through, um, maybe that's leading to a bigger destiny. I really do believe everything we go through, we do go through for a reason. And I know, when you're in that deepest, darkest times, it's really hard to believe that. I know what's really helped me when I've been feeling like that is a conversation with my soul, is a conversation with God, there's so many different ways. If you're feeling angry inside, then be angry with God, be angry with source, be angry with your guides, swear, it doesn't matter, they can all take it. But it really is a release, having that, going screaming into a pillow, going into a park when no one else is around, and just screaming it's a good release, because if you keep things inside, they're going to come out somehow. So, if you are feeling that deep dark, know there is for a reason, and find a way of releasing it. In this episode, we've talked about so many things that can help, but I'd go back to, becoming aware of what's happening, accepting who you are. And radical acceptance is such an important part of it and a facet of what we do, because when you start to understand that everything you're going through is part of your journey, is part of why you're here, and maybe that helps you to understand that you're doing it for a reason. And maybe you can, whatever you've been through, you can use that experience to guide others, maybe not to go through the same level of pain. What if you see yourself as being the person that's chopping down the branches to create a path for the people that are behind you? What if you can guide people to truly shine their light? And as we kind of get to the end of this episode, I just want to remind the kind of things you've got to awareness, acceptance, forgiveness. And how do you become aware? You've got to do the work, as Stacey said. You've got to have a really strong self-care routine, and that needs to include an element of journaling, some meditation, time in silence, some time in nature, some physical activity, walking, whatever, just to kind of release. And it really is a journey. It's like you could do these things and you could follow the steps, but your intention and going deep and being ready to release the things, because the reason that we go through so much pain is because we have to experience that pain in some way to then for our soul to expand. And the reason that we have so much ups and downs is because I really believe that we're releasing the layers, and maybe there's some things that you're holding on to from your childhood that part of that pain is bringing those memories up so you can release them. Our inner child actually has such a big impact on our day to day, and healing our inner child is such a big part of our transformation. And sometimes our inner child just needs so much love. And maybe you can pick an age and just imagine your inner child being, your younger version being in front of you and just giving yourself so much love, having a conversation, letting your inner child know that he or she's important. Maybe that's the way to start. But I go back, having a strong self-care routine and truly accepting who you are today, knowing that everything you've been through is for a reason, and knowing that you can get through it and you're meant to get through it. Spending time connecting with your guides and the energy and the love around you is also part of it. And I get it when you're in those difficult times, picking up a journal is the last thing you want to do, right? And it's really interesting when times are going well, we do all the things that we're meant to. We do the journaling, we do the meditation. When we're going through our difficult times, that's when we stop doing those things. But they're all powerful tools. And if you can go back to the things that worked for you when things are going well and start doing some of those things, then maybe what you're going through is you can get through it quicker. Journaling as an example is a great way of just taking what you have inside you and releasing it, because if you keep it inside you, it's going to stay there and fester and maybe cause an illness. And a great thing to mention, Stacey's website, if you it's in the show notes. She has a great journaling technique which allows you to journal with intent. There's different steps, and if you go to a website, just sign up. You can get a free PDF on a journaling technique which has changed lives. But things like journaling, meditation, time in nature, all seem relatively simple, but they really are about allowing you to connect with you, becoming an awareness of who you are, and truly accepting who you are. And then from there, you can start to build and start to do something different. We really, I personally don't. I'm not trying to simplify them and say this isn't, life can't be tough, and there are some really dark moments I'm sure we all go through. But I really do believe that the universe is there to support us and wants us to expand. But also the universe has a role to play to make sure we do complete our soul's journey. We do complete what we're here to do. And I really do believe a lot of us are being awakened to shine our light differently. And we're closing our cycles. We're really kind of releasing the people that don't serve us to truly shine our light differently. So I hope this episode gives people hope. I really do hope that the examples that we share help you on your journey and help you to realize that you are needed, you are wanted, you're here for a reason. Your soul chose to be here, and you're a powerful being that meant to do big things. We'd love to help you. We love the work that we do. The mentorship program that we do is really about helping you to your answers. We have a 12-week framework, but actually we tailor it to the individual. So based on your experience, based on what you're going through, we channel whatever the agenda for that is. So because we all have a unique experience, but we need the framework to kind of work on all four bodies to really help and drive change. So Stacey, I love the work that we do. And I guess as we close out the episode, I'm going to ask you for any final bits of advice for our listener, and also any general prompts that allows our listeners to go deep to truly kind of expand on the journey.
So I think that in this episode, the focus needs to be on gratitude because it gives you perspective as to how the things you've been through are impacting you in a positive way. And so I would encourage you to take some time and write down a list of intentional gratitude. Not that I'm grateful for my family, but like in this moment, what are you truly grateful for? And let's keep it in that space in this time. I just feel like being reflective in that space of gratitude shifts the way that we think and perceive things. And so I'm going to encourage you to do that, friends.
Nice. And Stacey, you want to just, I mentioned your journaling technique. Is there anything you want to add that I may have missed?
No, I just would say check it out on the website.
Beautiful. So again, this is episode 99. I feel super, super proud and blessed with the journey of this podcast and the messages that we get on a weekly basis. I really do. Our wish is, even if this episode helps one person, then we've achieved what we want to do. And kind of your messages to us, your feedback, we really do. We receive it. We respond to every DM that we get. We do feel very blessed with the messages we receive. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Our objective is to share whatever knowledge we have in a way that helps and guides others. So, Stacey, I love sharing the space with you, and I'm looking forward to our 100th episode. So there will be some announcements. We will do some specials. We'll do, like I said, we are going to have some special guests. So looking forward to recording that with you, Stacey. I'm looking forward to publishing and getting all the feedback. Again, feeling very, very blessed, sending everyone so much love and light. This is a transformational time, so embrace your transformation with as much love as you can. I'm sending you so, so much love and light, and truly wishing you a journey with as much ease and grace as possible. Stacey, I'm going to hand over to you to close us out.
Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.